Hey there. Welcome to this week's episode of Epic Entrepreneurs, brought to you by Action Coach Growth Partners. I'm your host, Bill Gilliland. And in this podcast, you'll find three things. You're going to hear real stories from real entrepreneurs that will help you along your entrepreneurial journey. You're also going to get business tips to help you scale up faster, and you're going to get actual coaching to help you get better real world results to be the best entrepreneur you can be. Hey, and if you like the podcast, remember to subscribe. And now, enjoy the show. Hey, hope you're having a great week. Welcome to this week's episode of Epic Entrepreneurs. I'm here with Tyler West of Clawhammer Inc. It's so good to have you, Tyler.
Thanks, Bill. I really appreciate the time and having me on the show.
Yeah. So, Tyler, first of all, what is Clawhammer Inc. and how did you get into business in the first place?
All right. Yeah. So, Clawhammer Inc. It's kind of an ambiguous name for a business. Really, when I started that business, it was to be able to be multiple different kind of entities. And where we ended up, I'll back up and give you the backstory. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. It was mostly my father and I growing up in construction, and through all of my childhood, I wore multiple different hats. And really looking back at it, I'm very thankful to have the kind of child rearing I had with a very open dialogue about business and numbers, and kind of served me very well through life. I from age 6, I was on a job site to about 23. And then when I got out of school, I went to Appalachian State for construction. It was 2008. It was a housing crisis, and nobody was looking for a young kid to come out of college for construction when there was no business to be had. So I made a deviation in life, and I ended up chasing a passion, a dream in cycling, and that'd be bicycles. I worked in the cycling industry for 12 years and went all over the world and worked for two of the largest companies in that kind of field, both multi-billion-dollar businesses. And maybe 2019, we had some family health issues in my family, and it led me to leaving my career for 12 years and moving back to Asheville, North Carolina from Canada at the time, and kind of overseeing our family construction business, where we build 10 to 15 homes a year. And that actually led me to wanting to continue in that career, and that's where I'm at today. I've got my own business in Clawhammer Inc. And we do land development. We purchase land, build homes, and sell them. Have multiple different partnerships throughout the community here. So Clawhammer, it's a kind of a coverall, to say the least.
Yeah. Sounds like you've got a lot of things going on. You're doing development, you're doing building, you've got some other things. So it's interesting. Yeah, 2008, 2009 was a tough time in the construction industry. A lot of our clients are somehow related to building something, and either construction, subs, architects, whatever. And it was tough. It was a tough time. But so are you still involved with the cycling industry? How's that playing out?
Yeah, you speak of 2008, 2009, our family business, we consumed 4 failed partnerships. And for 6 years, it almost took us under several times, but we got through it as a family. But I was constantly on the phone with my parents while working in the cycling industry, just kind of being a cheerleader, a friend, a coach, as much as, just their son at the time. And actually, I still am in the cycling industry. In my spare time, which I have copious amounts, I'm sure you can imagine, but I'm a contractor for a large bicycle company, and actually run a test program here in Western North Carolina. We have probably 10, 20 different folks that test products before they ever hit the market. Just a way to fulfill a passion. But what I learned in that industry is it's much smaller than the building industry. It's very difficult to make a living. And when I moved home and took over the family building business, it really showed me that maybe my passion and my way of making a living didn't have to be the same. They could be two different things, and I could continue to make a living have flexibility to do things I want with my life, but also fill some time with this passion project that I had on the side.
So, is there money in the testing and the contracting? Is it a business? Is it part of your business too, or is it just kind of like I'm trying to break even on that deal?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there is money. I'm paid to do it personally. The folks that I have working or that help with it are all volunteers for the company. But between the money they pay me and then all the free bicycles I get, 5 or 6 a year, it really helps with my expenses, because otherwise it'd probably a $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 a year expense just buying bicycles and traveling and all that fun stuff.
Well, we'll come back. I'm gonna come back to the passion in a minute, but
yeah,
you said something that was interesting, that I think most people have a business and then they usually have some other separate passion as well. And so you said that your passion and your way of making a living don't have to be the same. And I've never heard anybody put it that way. So tell us more about your philosophy there, I guess.
I think, yeah, absolutely. My philosophy there is based on just my experience in life at this point. Since I was a kid and growing up in an entrepreneurial family, it was always about, making money, building houses, and the next big project. And I remember I was 23 years old, sitting across the closing table from a family, a husband and wife in their 60s. And I was buying their house that was in foreclosure to turn it and flip it and make some money. And a big part of who I am and who our family business is every deal, everybody wins. If anyone loses, it's not a good deal. I was sitting at that table, and I remember I had promised these people that they were going to walk away from everything with $10,000 or $15,000. I don't remember the number, but their house had gone further into foreclosure. Their lawyer was pulling his profits out of that, and so therefore I wasn't going to be able to hold up to my word in that deal. And at 23 years old and a challenging time in the building industry, I was just like, no way. I need to do something else with my life. I'm not ready to make these hard financial decisions in other people's lives, and went and chased bikes around the world. And I really loved it, but I wasn't making a living and I wasn't financially free. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do with my life and my time. And when I came back and took over the construction business, I made more, the way I always like to talk to friends about it is I paid more in taxes in that first year than I made ever in the cycling industry. So it was very eye-opening. What making a living was. And it took two or 3 years of doing that to realize, man, I can make a living doing something where I find some parts of passion, helping the community, keeping several people in work. But that doesn't have to be my core passion in life. That can actually facilitate it. And it was very eye-opening, in my mid-30s to kind of figure that out, and feel fortunate because, I still work hard. I enjoy what I do, and it's great, but it allows me time and the freedom and the financial flexibility to do those things. And that was really eye-opening because I've grown up my whole life. It was, you do something you love, so you never work a day in your life. And it just didn't really end up being the shoe that fit for me.
Yeah, that statement you just said, you never do a day of work in your life, I think that's a load. I mean, you can love what you do. I mean, I love what I do, but I promise you it's work. And, but work's not a bad word. Work is fun. And so, I have clients that love to work. And so it's not, I don't know where work got to be a bad word. I guess it's where it's where I've come up. So, I've always thought that was a load. Somebody they just like what they do, but most of them have other passions as well, and their businesses. If you do it right, your business should give you more to life rather than sucking it out of you. And so,
absolutely.
So let's talk. I love the statement: every deal, everyone wins.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that, because if it doesn't work, then it's not a good deal.
And growing up, I remember sitting across the table from so many people that felt like they had to win, and it was at all costs, and it never, that doesn't work, because if somebody loses, everybody loses, in the sense that if you screw somebody over to make a few extra bucks here or there, like that always catches up with you. If you win a little bit, and whoever across the table also wins a little bit, everybody walks away, it's an agreeable deal. You're just building a better sense of community. You're being equitable, and I think that was a huge eye-opening thing for me. Was I saw it done the wrong way a lot, and I got to see it done what I feel like is the right way. That everybody wins philosophy, and I tell you, Bill, that's really served me well through life, business, everything. And sure, it takes a lot of stress out of my day too.
Yeah, I mean, the theory that there's got to be winners and losers, it's just not right. I mean, it's there. I mean, there's the what is it, the win-win, from 7 Habits. I mean, it's out there if you look for it. There's no. It's. I think it comes from the scarcity mentality. Like, there's scarce resources. There's just not. There's abundance. There's plenty for us all. And if that's what abundance means. So yeah, it's great. I love this philosophy. I'm gonna remember this. Every deal, everyone wins. Yeah.
Yeah. We have, in the last 30 plus years of our family business here locally, we've probably built 400, 500 homes. We've had the same subcontractors for the majority of that time, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I mean, watched people's kids grow up, and we've had those same subcontractors become builders. And, I think a lot of builders would see that as competition and a challenge. And, it's just not who we are. We want everyone to be successful. And if somebody wants to go from being a plumber to a builder, and that's their path, and I'm going to help that person out. Our siding guy he's a general contractor now. He calls me almost every other week, asking me questions about this, that, and the other. And I'm like, whatever you need, let's get more good houses out there, more roofs for people to move into in this community. We certainly need that here in Western North Carolina as much as we do anywhere else in the country. But a good home at a fair price, like that, it seems to be few and far between here locally.
Well, and yeah, I mean, and who's he going to call when he can't do something?
Yeah.
Right. I can't build. I mean, I got too much to do. I can't build this house. Can you do it?
Absolutely.
Tyler, can you do it? It's the deal, right?
And I've gotten more land opportunities and business opportunities from those people than I have from any real estate agent or marketing piece that's out there. I mean, almost every land deal that has been a win for our business has come from those relationships, a word of mouth, honestly, the neighbors of wherever we build. When we start a project, I go knock on everyone's door and personally introduce myself, hand them a business card, like, hey, I'm going to be your neighbor. I know we're disrupting your world for the next 6 to 8 months, but, I want to be as good of a neighbor as I can. If anything comes up, call me. Please don't go talk to the subcontractor who doesn't know what's going on. Just call me. And we've had, huge success in just trying to be good neighbors, do the right thing, help build communities, and leave it better than we found it. And, everyone's got different opinions how that looks down the road, but for the most part, we've been very, very successful with that.
Yeah. I want everyone to pay attention to this strategy, and I call it 4 doors down. And anybody who's in home services, anybody who does any kind of construction, anybody who does any kind of remodeling, any roofing, you name it, anything like that, you need to use that strategy. And it's a simple strategy. All you have to do is knock doors, 4 doors in both directions, both sides of the street. Let them know what's going on. Tell them you're going to be around. Tell them there might be some, upsets and some vans and a whole bunch of stuff going on around their neighborhood. And if there's a problem, call me. That's what you said. Call me. Call the owner. Right there. That is or whoever. It could be the foreman. It doesn't matter who it is. Just call them. You will get more business out of that. I have a roofing contractor that I've worked with for years, and we've gotten more business from that strategy than probably any other strategy. And because everybody wants to know what's going on with their neighbors anyway, they're nosy. So what are they doing? Well, they're remodeling or they're building, they want to know. So it's that strategy works for everybody. I love that you brought that up. I love it.
Yeah.
So it's a great strategy. All right, so I want to go back to one thing you said. Because there are ups and downs in any business. There's cyclical. The economy is cyclical. It just is. And so if you study it, you'll find that out. And I would recommend that you do study it. But you said that your family business absorbed 4 other businesses. But y'all's business made it through somehow. And it was a rough, probably because you were well capitalized anyway. So tell me more about that, because that's an interesting situation.
Yeah, so again, growing up in that small business in the early 2000s, building was booming, and we had built apartment complexes, we built houses, we had several large land acquisitions on the table, and then it just felt, through 2008, everything around the country really started slowing down, and we knew someday it was going to come to us. We just didn't know when, and one day it just stopped. Everything stopped, and we even recently, we've been talking about the slowdown recently has been fine, but just as long as it doesn't stop, that's the problem. But yeah, we had 4 different partnerships, and we always at the dinner table talked about what's our exit strategy, what's our worst case scenario. We had multiple plays, no matter what property, what deal, what partnership we had on the go. And I don't think our business partners did the same thing. Didn't appear to. and so those partners, when everything stopped, they just they were left with what was left, and it wasn't pretty. So they all did Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and for them that was fine. But anything that we were in partnership, we either had to do the same thing or take on all that debt. I want to say it was something like $4 or $5 million worth of debt we just took on in a year. And we were okay capitalized, but we had a lot of assets, because in that timeline we were purchasing rental properties left and right. And I want to say at some point we had like 30 or 40 rental properties. So we were able to make some different sales of properties. We were able to sell a lot of the land that we were kind of held to that were big payments. But really at the end of the day, it was that same mentality of just taking care of your people and taking care of what's in front of you and not stopping. I mean, we were building maybe 2 or 3 houses a year, almost making no money, just to keep our people moving, just to keep the business going, just to be able to kind of flow money and keep our cash flow going. And I'll never forget, Mom one day was like, it was really hard. And one day I remember we had $2,500 in the bank account. That was it. That was all we had. We had nothing coming in. Nothing. And the painter came from a job, and he had his invoice in hand and handed his invoice. And that's another big key to our success is as soon as someone's done with their project, you pay them immediately. No terms, no nothing. They did it. It's their money. And it was $2,500. And, she didn't say no or I can't afford it or anything. She wrote that check. She basically zeroed out her bank account. And, it was 3 boys. And and so then she walked down to the mailbox that day, and there was a check from somebody for $4,000 or $5,000. It was a credit from something that had been outstanding, and it's just kind of like the karma of taking, just continuing to take care of people, and you'll be okay. And the business kept going, and we were able to sell that whatever project we were working on, and we just kept moving. And it really had a huge impact on me. It's like, if you're going down this road and you've got a group of people that you're working with, like, you're all in it together, and they're just as equally deserving as you are. So you've got to just keep doing the right thing. And it was really, really impactful. But it took 6 years of constant hard work, long, hard conversations, adjusting our product, new partnerships, and we climbed out of it and have, rerouted our business and is very successful currently. So, but it taught a lot of lessons about planning, having contingency plans, how you finance projects, when to take on big projects, when to slow the business down. You're 100% right, Bill. It is very cyclical. There's a lot of indicators out there, but you just got to be fluid. You got to be willing.
Yeah. We're a little I mean, back then, 2008, 2009, obviously it was a banking crisis, global GFC, global financial crisis. So, and, that banks just wouldn't lend you any money. And so that all the money stopped, which is why everything stopped one day for a while till everybody started figuring it out. But then obviously it loosened back up. But it's 7 to 10 years. I mean, you can just count on it. Every 7 to 10 years, there's a cycle. It might be a little bit longer, a little bit less, but that's about well, you can just go back in history and look at it. It's not hard to see what happened. So you can count on it. We're a little bit in the mountains here where, with the retirement community and people coming into town and moving and all that. We're a little bit buffered from it, but it's, at the end of the day, it's just absolutely coming. And so, and I don't think it'll stop, but I love the lessons. The lessons are do the right thing. Karma's a thing. Let's face that. And, keep going. Yeah. Just don't stop. Just keep doing something. I know, during COVID, I mean, it's like, all right, well, keep going. It actually was interesting because 2008, 2009, disaster for the construction industry. 2020 was actually a boom for I never saw that coming. I missed that one. But it was, people got home and they're like, well, need something, or I can't stay in Atlanta. I need to come home. I need to find a place in the mountains. So, Absolutely. Pretty interesting. Yeah, a couple of more questions. The EPIC the B EPIC stands for, B stands for bring the energy, E is education, P is planning, I is inspiration, C is commitment. So I'd like to get your thoughts on those 5 things. So, like, what are your thoughts about the energy you need to bring to entrepreneurship or to business?
That's a great question. Again, I'm going to go back to lessons I learned from our family business, and one of my favorite mottos that I still live by today is, Mom was always like, building a house is like hosting a party. You make sure everyone has what they need, and you make sure they're having a good time, and you get out of the way and let them have a great time and get it done. And so the energy that I try to bring 100% of the time is I'm going to work my tail off to make sure that when somebody shows up on our job site, everything's as laid out and straightforward and easy, work, but as easy as possible. They have whatever they need to get it done. And we're all having a good time and trying to enjoy it, because we all it's still just life at the end of the day. So that really, I'm up early and I stay up late at night working, just making sure that, everybody has a path for them for the day of work they got, and let's go have some fun and do it again. So
I love that.
I
love that. Your mom's a smart lady. I mean, holy cow, that's a very smart saying. I never thought about it that way. Great metaphor.
Yeah.
So, it's a great metaphor. What about the part education plays?
Bill, I feel like I'm a constant learner. I listen to a lot of podcasts specifically because I drive all day, every day, going from job site to job site to job site. And, I'm like ebbing and flowing between like the microeconomics, what's going on in Asheville, what's going on, in our local building business. That's constantly having conversations with our vendors and everyone in our industry, friends, family. And then I go as far as look at the macroeconomics and look at what's going on in the world. And, a lot of our timber comes from Canada and steel from China, and always just trying to kind of go in and out and just learn as much as I can about what's going on in the world around me. Something big that we're really focusing on right now, we've got some big projects getting ready to come online, is what's the world going to look like in a year, 2, 3 years as these products we're delivering coming on the market. And so really looking at like the generation change right now with the baby boomer generation, really holding a lot of revenue and cash and getting to near the end of their life cycle, and then what that's going to do for the millennials and the Gen Xers as those transitions happen over the next 5, 10, 15 years, and trying to figure out what that's going to look like. So never stop learning. I mean, it's a huge part of keeping your business relevant, and it piggybacks on the planning part. It helps really make better plans.
One of my mentors said, hey, if you want to out-earn me, you need to out-learn me. So It's pretty good, right? Pretty good. What are your thoughts on planning? I mean, you're in a business that requires planning and plans, and so, but and I think most people wouldn't build a house without a plan. It's interesting to me how many people will try to build a business without a plan. So,
yeah, it's wild. I learned this. My philosophy on planning goes back to I had in the cycling world. I did a lot. I managed a race team, and we traveled around the world, and so I had a lot of international logistics and different country laws and blah blah. Anyways, long story short, I would make plans for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and then well into the future. But I'd always live 2 weeks at a time. It didn't matter what our plan was. Like when the tires hit the road, I would only be really thinking about 2 weeks out, because who knows what the world's going to do? Who knows how everything's going to come and go at me? So I'm a huge planner, but I'm also one of the key life lessons I've had is fluidity in my life. Go 2 weeks at a time, see what comes at you, make your changes, see how that affects the long-term plan, and then readdress. But I look a lot at plans, and I'm a big planner, but I also live 2 weeks at a time, because who really knows what's going to come your way.
Yeah, I've had people say, well, why should I plan? Because it's going to change. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But you need to have pre-thought a lot of that stuff. Like it's like what you were talking about. Like you guys used to sit around and talk about, like, what happens if, what happens that. That's a planning. That's planning, and other people
Absolutely.
Weren't planning for the catastrophe. Worst case, what's best case. I think that's brilliant. And inspiration, the I's inspiration. So, what are your thoughts on inspiration?
Inspiration, it's the calling of your business. I think it's, for me, a lot of times what I wake up for, and in the building business, the inspiration, being a small business owner, you can decide to do it today or not do it today. You don't have to go to work. And so that inspiration is the calling. And it's really important to me. I've counted multiple times, but about 90 people touch a home as you're building a home. And supplying those folks with work and being able to make sure that they can put food on their table at night, that's a huge inspiration to me, because that's our community. Those are the people that build up where we live, what we do. And then also, I grew up in Asheville, born and raised here, left for a while, and then came back. And this community is constantly changing. And I feel finally at this point in my life that I want to be a part of the change in a better direction. So I work a lot in the world of, the bureaucracy of Asheville City, Buncombe County. I work a lot with the local developers of the area, and then the folks that do their hands-on stuff, and kind of being a conduit between all these three different main pieces of the world, and really the big driver is the money, the financial side. So you got a lot of different kind of bubbles that move around, and so the inspiration is build a better community and take care of the community that you have right in front of you. We take care of our subs well, and we actually started something 5 years ago. The subs that have been with us for a while, we watched their kids grow up. Really, like they tend to live a different life, and we wanted to kind of open their eyes a different way to live. And so, whenever a subcontractor that's been with us forever, their children graduate high school, we start a Roth IRA in their name, or have their parents do it, and give them $1,000, and usually try to sit down with them and talk about, hey, there's this idea of retirement and kind of looking out at your future, and not just kind of living in the world as it is today. And there's a balance between doing both of those things. And that really just kind of continued to expand our world. It challenged us and made us think of different ways of supporting our folks, but also just, hopefully giving the future different way to look at life. And it's been really great for all of us.
Man, I love that. So, I mean, what I'm hearing basically is what inspires you is the fact that, when you build a house, you got 90 people or 90 businesses or whatever, that at least 90 families that are impacted positively by the fact that they get to come to work and help build that house. And yeah, I mean, if it were just about the money, very few people would get much done. You don't grow much you grow to the point where you don't need anymore. Then that's about it. Get out of pain, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, but I love that scholarship. That's. I mean, a lot of people may not. I mean, if you're in construction, but I mean, essentially in construction, subs are employees. And so when you can build long-term relationships with subs, they're essentially long-term employees. And so what I'm hearing is you become friends with them, you know what's going on in their family, you see when their kids are graduating from high school, you can set this, I love that. Yeah.
It's back to that, just having a good time hosting a party, know who's at the party. It's a huge part of it,
Yeah. Be a good host. Know who shows up. Been plenty of parties we probably both been to where you didn't know who all was there. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. All right, the last in Be Epic is commitment. So obviously you're committed. I mean, you're committed. I hear a lot of commitment in what you've already said, and committed to your subs, committed to your people, committed to the community, committed. But talk a little bit more about your commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of what I spoke to before. As a small business owner, you wake up every day and you've got to be committed to going to work. You don't always have to show up. And, I think it's really important to be committed to your business for all those different reasons. But honestly, it's almost like it's a commitment to yourself, in the sense that, this is how I create this life for myself, whether it's financially, whether it's, taking care of those people. So that the commitment is to me, to waking up and all right, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to take care of these people. I'm going to try to build my community, and all that commitment comes back to me in time. And you're making some money along the way, and, take care of all your P's and Q's, take care of your people, and everything else takes care of itself. I just, that and a good team around you, good accountants.
Yeah. I think, you do the right thing and keep going. Yep. I mean, those, you're going to make, the money will show up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know you figure, money's part of the equation when you decide to do a deal, but with a win-win, man, there's tons of lessons here. So I got one more question, and that is basically what is one thing that now that you wish you had known a long time ago, or that nobody told you?
Yeah, Bill, I'm going to go back to the thing we spoke about earlier, is that your work doesn't necessarily have to be your passion. I feel, as a millennial, so much of our parents grew up in a very different generation, and that was, just paramount to who they were, their job, their career, and that's a really interesting concept. But I think as time's moving on and people are learning more about themselves and the bigger world around them, it's back to that. Your passion and your work aren't the same. Speaking about this whole podcast, I've read my mom quite a fair amount, and she was the reason I moved back. She developed cancer, and so it was she couldn't work based on that, and so the company was going to go be sold, or we were sell our properties or whatever. So I came back so that my folks didn't have to worry about money while they were going through that challenging time. And her life mission was to make sure that people around her enjoyed their lives and learned to enjoy their lives. And Bill, she was 59 years old, and felt like she was robbed, but what she gave the world was incredible. And so I think it comes back to work hard, play hard. You never know what's going to happen in this life. So, work to do the things you need to do, but it doesn't have to be all that you do. So that'd be the one thing I wish I knew in my 20s.
Yeah, work doesn't have to be your passion. I love that. I think it's amazing, and I love that. And I think life is meant to be enjoyed, and it's interesting. Your mother's legacy is that she helped a lot of people enjoy life, and so she enjoyed life. And so, so that's a great lesson. Well, listen, thanks for being on. This has been unbelievable. There is so much here. The listeners are going to get a great deal on this. So, a great deal from this. So, thanks for being here. It's really, really been useful.
I really appreciate the time, Bill. It's been great chatting, getting to know you.
Hey, and until next week, all the best.